Hey Sag, happy birthday and welcome to your season in this video. So I sat down for almost 2 hours trying to record yesterday and it just didn't work out. So here we are. I'm just gonna leave that tangled because why not? This month I wrote a question for each sign. This is the question that's going to be the basis of your reading and how I'm going to read to you this month. It's also something for maybe you to ponder. Excuse me. I wrote these down about 2 weeks ago when things were really clear at the time. And it was necessary because then leading up to this was very different. So, as Scorpio season does for me sometimes, as for all of us, is gives me some premonitional things to do. For those of you during the holidays where it's not the easiest, I'm really sorry to hear that. Really though, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope if you're watching this, this gives you maybe what you need at this time. And for you guys, your question is about what do you actually need, desire, etc. And how do you need and desire it? When does it come up? When do you notice you need certain things as opposed to different times in your life? You know, you may think you need something at some point, and then and sometimes it's because something's going on. Something's affecting this need. If something is coming out where you really, there's just, this is what will make you feel better, and where it came from, or wherever that was, and whatever that place was. And this month, of course, it's your season. So yes, this question's important, but it's more important because you're not going to miss out on the fun. You're not going to miss out on the celebration. It's your month. And I think what was a part of yesterday being a little bit harder than today was that there are certain times where I'm not yet ready nor prepared to actually say what I need to say. Sometimes I need a moment. And I think that's true for a lot of us. Like, we don't always need nor want those very dramatic responses. Sometimes we need a moment to catch our breath. Sometimes we need a couple days, whatever that means for you. And this month, the sweeter things can be is if you want if you're looking for things to be sweeter, they can be sweeter if you actually answer these things in a way that's a lot more honest with yourself. And what does that look like in a time where there's so much going on? People need you. You need to be places. You need to be doing things or making, the space, getting the space ready for all these people to mingle together. And it's important that you recognize that you can't be everywhere and you can't be everyone, and you can also do what you really need to do. And you can put that into action right away emotionally. Because for you, this could be closing a time in your life where things are handled differently. Where instead of waiting to react or respond to someone else's delivery of something you already kind of saw coming, you're just going to be upfront about it. Like, you're just going to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, or this is what it is, or this is what I need, or this is what I'm sensing. Are you sensing this too? Can we have a conversation? Or this is what I need, point blank. Like, there's some things that are going to be less discussed and more, in a way, demanding, and vice versa. So it's a mutable month. Flexibility is important. And I think that the more that you And what I'm gathering is that the more that you allow yourself to be very upfront in these kinds of ways, it's going to be a lot more fun. It's going to be a lot better. It's going to be a lot smoother. It's going to actually bring in the new year in a way that was better than maybe even expected, which is the best. Now, if for some of you, there is a specific relationship that's causing something like this to happen, that's causing for you to have to be very extremely adult and caring for yourself when you're coming across these boundaries or things that you need to say or whatever it is that you're needing to do for yourself, for these people, whatever it is. And sorry. Well, you need to remember, because I think sometimes when a person is in a certain habit for a long time, and now you're at the point where change is possible, maybe you're at a vulnerable state, which some of you could be and are heading into, and you're wondering, like, how much more you can handle, or how much more or what it is all of this is doing here, meaning your emotional bandwidth, whatever's going on emotionally, mentally, physically, everything. And it's possible that you may be withholding and you need to express. So that could be a part of what I just said, or that could be something totally separate. And a part of you internally could feel like you're able to handle this better, but then when it comes to being in the delivery or going to deliver that communication, or when something happens, being in that moment with yourself and in that moment and responding authentically, it's remembering yourself, not just kind of handing yourself over because you know you can do it, or this is something always asked of you. There's a part in that this could be also monetarily. This could be with money. This doesn't have to be necessarily with situations and people. This can be in a couple different ways, but they might all kind of connect too. If it is emotionally, it could be exactly like with money as well. It could be very much linked. But if it's not, there's this side of you that's getting really real with what's actually important, who's important, the kind of money that you're spending, what the importance of what you're spending is, any of it. All of that is, any which way you go with that, is of course it always comes back to this place in yourself that knows that if you want to see a difference right now, there needs to be a little bit more specific action towards that thing that you would like to evolve or change or shift, whatever it is. So what you can sense is Capricorn season already coming. And you're also, I think this is more of the question, is like going back to the how, right? Do you need to go do everything? Do you need to see all these people? Do you need to be seen by all of these people? What of importance is this place if you're feeling kind of tied up in these other ways that you really do need to take care of? Or when is it a good time to go out and be out where you know it's going to actually help take your mind off of some things that you can't control right now? So it's kind of asking yourself those questions and kind of experimenting with that. How do you know unless you try? So that's kind of and maybe give yourself, like, if it's taking so much resistance or you're overthinking it, maybe you do need to get out, right? Maybe this is exactly what you've needed. Maybe you'll get your opportunity that you need to present or speak or come across exactly what you need to wrap some things up. And it's connected to your head. For some of you also, do you know the part like when fire gets to the point where it like crackles, like in a fireplace, whatever, you just hear the crackling? That's, you could also feel like you need to stretch more this month. You might hear some cracks in your body. Sagittarius is connected to the hips, related to the hips. So, and it's also about moving forward. Again, what I'm gathering here in this, nothing else is really coming out, but we got this moon at the bottom. We'll keep that. Is that this process that you're going through, you just have to kind of go through this month. You have to know that there will be some kind of surprises along the way, or unexpected changes or events could happen. However, that is, and how you handle and respond to these things tells you a lot about where you're at emotionally. And being in your season, you can also just go ahead and have fun and ignore these things, but ultimately I don't think that would be the best thing for you, having the Eight of Swords here. There's a lot of confrontation, but with yourself this month. If certain things keep coming back into your head, that's a way to read the Emperor too, by the way, like the cycles. And then Aries relates to the head, as does Mars, but Mars is in Gemini and retrograde, and we'll get more into the second part, which will be in a link below, as well as all information to work with me one-on-one. I didn't say that before. And the second part will be on Patreon. So I just thought I sounded like a newscaster in that moment. So yeah, this month, I know you'll probably want to be more free in ways that you normally are. And that could be with spending, that could be with your energy. And it could be in other ways. But what is being read is that you only can give what you have. Even if you think you have more, you have to remember you have to give to yourself, to your immediate environment, whatever you have going on, whether it is you're a creator, you do art, you have places to do that. If you have kids, if you have animals, if you live with someone, how else are you expending your energy? That also takes from that. And then you have you. And so that's more than ever what you need, I think, to hear. And then you can really give from that place. So then when you come back to everything, and when that natural reflection can happen, you're like, yeah, I did Sagittarius season the way I wanted to. Yes, I know you want to go out and do and rush and do all these things, but it's not. And maybe just like do them just because you feel it, but is it impulsive? You know, again, going back to that how, is like how, like, are you sending out desperate energy? Is it impulsive? Is it actual spontaneity? Like, why, like, how and why are you being pulled in these different directions? And I think by the end of the month, you come to, there's this clarity that can come to you if you give yourself the things that you need and the proper rest. And even by the 8th, which is the Gemini full moon, you will begin to notice what maybe you couldn't see months ago, even though it presented itself in a certain way with a certain person. It could have been a male figure in your life or a masculine figure. It doesn't have to be just simply male. And now it feels like it's being directly communicated to you now. It's a little bit easier to recognize. It's a little bit easier to notice. So just notice where these desires are coming from. And when you do, and you put more intention into that, when you're able to pull back that arrow and use that arrow that then catches fire, wildfire, and what's behind the intention allows things to grow in the ways that the intention energetically can. What does that mean? Well, if there is only selfish reasons for something, eventually your selfishness begins to show and like directly pointed to. If you're doing something for pure reason, just to make it very dramatic to be easily said, then it'll, like that cliche saying, you'll reap what you sow. That, God's always watching. And I'm only reminding you that this month is because discipline is important. It doesn't have to be hard either. You can make anything fun. You just have to do it in the way that you like to do things. Like if you need to sing a tune or rhyme things and do the things that you do it. Just know that if you are running or chasing yourself around and wondering what you need, it's that energy back from chasing yourself around, So by that moon, you'll realize what you may have been, overly spending in, those multitude of ways. Think about it. And then once we get towards Capricorn season, those things will become very clear. It'll become very concrete. You'll keep running into it, or it'll show up and it'll be like, boom. And you're just like, oh, okay, cool, right? So you can just spend the whole month just doing your thing, Go ahead. If you want to go extreme, that's fine. You don't have to listen to me. However, remember where that can get you. And we'll get into that into the second part. This month can teach you how you lead and how what you're good at can really come out when you just kind of allow it to, instead of presenting something that just doesn't fit, All right, Sag. All my love to you during this season. It's an interesting one. The holidays are always interesting. It just depends on your experience in your life. And I'm just reminded, of how grateful I am. So all the love to everyone out there who's watching. All information to work with me is below. And yeah, we have some interesting stuff to get into in the second part, which will also be in a link below on Patreon. The link will bring you right there. I'll see you next month. Bye, Sag.